Hi guys, this is Erica Weston with Fox Sports Midwest, and you're listening to my favorite St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio.
Welcome to Season 8, Episode 52 of Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. We're broadcasting live on Wednesday, February 12th, 2020. This is franchise episode number 238 all-time. Your hosts and yours truly, Kurt Price, Bill Day, and Jeff Ponder. And for your listening pleasure, for the next little while, we'll be talking Stanley Cup champion St. Louis Blues hockey. To interact with the show on social media, you can follow the show on Twitter at LGB Radio. My handle is at Kurt Price, Bill's is at Billy Blue Note, and Jeff's is at JPonder94. You can follow us on Instagram, like us on the Facebook, and of course our YouTube channel where the show is broadcast live each week. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll get notifications before the show goes live each week so you don't miss a thing. For those of you watching live on the show on YouTube right now, you can comment in the live chat on my left on the screen, which would be your right. The website is letsgoblues.com, where you can comment or watch past episodes, browse the fan discussion forum, as well as get some cool St. Louis Blues themed T-shirts that do help support the show. And if you do us a favor, see something that you like that we put out there on social media or even one of our shows, share it. Post the links to in blues groups or wherever, because the more people that see our show, the more we grow and the more we can offer everyone. We really appreciate it. Gentlemen, before we do in the announcements and things, how are you guys?
Well, I think there's one that every one of us wants to talk about, something important. I think that is caw.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I forgot about that completely.
Oh my God. All right, that is.
Did you guys watch
first?
it? Did you watch the XFL?
No.
Part of it.
No.
I watched it.
No.
I enjoyed it.
I watched like less than 20 quarters of football the entire NFL season. I'm not gonna watch XFL.
Oh,
I'm not. I'm not a football guy.
Okay.
For one.
That's fine. That's fine.
And I don't blame you.
In terms of football, I think it was fine.
I thought it was fine.
Not bad. Better than the last go round.
It's not unlike watching college football. Maybe a step above, So
I mean, I like
fine.
the idea. A faster paced, fewer stoppage game overall.
There's some neat things on it. Whatever. Will it last 3 years? Because they say they have enough money for 3 years of the league. Yeah. That's the question.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyway,
Jimmy Anderson says caw.
Yeah. Anyway,
Jesus.
we have a giveaway that we'll just get this out of the way. We started it yesterday, day before, or something like that. We have a All-Star Game rally towel and a Blues Stag beer mashup stickers combo giveaway to give away. Let me grab a sticker here. These are the stickers that will be given away. So right there, as you see it on the screen on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, trust me, they look cool. They're blue and yellow or blue and gold and look like a Stag beer logo, but they say Blues instead. It's like a mashup. It's themed. It's cool. Anyway, trust me.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. And, of course, the All-Star Game rally towels that were given away. We have one of those to give away as well. And Jeff has a sticker as well.
I do.
So to do that, to enter to win that cool stuff, go to the letsgoblues.com website, click on the forums link, and there's a thread in there with details about the contest. So follow the instructions there and post basically a story about your favorite Blues moment, how you became a Blues fan, your favorite player, anything really you want to do. And we will pick a winner from inside that thread, and then we'll announce it on this show on February 26th, on this live show. And then we'll contact the winner within the forum. So register on the forum, post something, and then wait. Or post some more.
Back in the day, the forum was the place to be for Blues fans.
It
And
really
I
was.
think we can make that day great again. Or something like that.
Make, how do you say MAGA with an F? Make the forum great again? How's that work?
Mafaga.
MAFAGA.
Let's go ahead and not make sure that catches on.
Hashtag MAFAGA.
I think that's better than the original, quite honestly.
Yeah, it's debatable. So friend of the show, Tom Calhoun, was inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame on Monday night. That's pretty cool. How many St. Louis Sports Hall of Famers have we had on this show? One. Is that right? One?
I don't know.
One? Just one, right?
Yeah.
Nobody else is in, right?
That's an excellent question.
I think it's just the one. Just
Yeah,
I'm
just
I
going to
Tom
say
Calhoun.
one.
I think Herbs is too young.
Yeah, he'll get in eventually.
Too new on the scene.
Yeah,
Even though he's been here for
He has been here a
15
long time.
years now.
I think if he does another 5-10 years, isn't easy.
Well, I think
And-
he's in no matter what. Just
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, he did
like Herbert.
call the Blues winning the Stanley Cup.
Right.
he did.
it's pretty iconic.
No, Curbs is great. So that was good. Congratulations, Tom Calhoun. That was pretty cool. The official beers of episode number 238. Bill, you have a can of something.
I have a can of something. I have a can of Oscar Blues.
It's very dark.
It's pretty dark.
1050.
Yeah, it's a dark, like they went for an etched feeling on it. Not that it's etched at all, but the imagery seems etched.
I think I've had that.
Yeah, it's barrel aged 1050 Imperial Stout. It's a heavy beer for heavy conversation, as I said tonight.
Jeff,
I like it.
what do you got? It's a theme. What do you got?
Yeah. So I got a kind of a heavier one as well. It is I think, Bill, last time I had this, you corrected me on how I said it. Polaner
All fruit?
Munchen.
You've eaten all fruit?
Wait, let me stage left,
Polan-
camera
Polaner?
right.
Yeah.
Polaner, Salvatore, Doublebock.
Yeah.
What is it, Bill? Go ahead.
You
Double.
got it right.
Double, Bill.
You got it right.
I got it right. All
Kurt was-
right. That's what
Isn't
I
it-
appreciate
was
about
misleading
you.
Isn't it Doppelbock?
Well, it's Doppelbock, but
Yeah.
they
Right.
spell it on here the American way, Doublebock.
Gotcha.
Because Doppelbock is it Doppel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So Kurt, 0 for 2. Why don't you just
No,
shut her down
no,
for the night?
Not 0 for 2. I'm going with
You're
the way
0 for 2.
the origination
You're
of
0
it.
for 2.
I mean, if you want to be
Well,
a cool
it
beer
says on the
connoisseur,
can.
beer connoisseur, if you want to go with
It
the
says,
origins,
it
it's
says
Doppel.
on there, and if you would have let me finish, can I finish?
No.
I would have said Doublebock, or as they say in Germany, Doppelbock.
Sure.
But you didn't let me finish.
Sure.
I said, hey, play the tape back. Last time I had a beer like this, I did that exactly. So
I think we had the same
so
conversation.
suck it.
I think we had the
We
same
might
conversation.
have. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? We drink a lot. But anyway, this beer is fantastic. I think you can only find it. I've only been able to find it at Friar Tuck, but I'm sure you can find other places, other establishments here in St. Louis. It's a good heavy beer. As I said on Twitter, skipped dinner tonight, so this is something that kind of helps fill me up a little bit.
It's nice to have a chewy beer every once in a while.
Keith Price in YouTube chat says, "What is the difference between a double and a single bock? Twice as many bocks."
That's true.
He's an educator. he can't get simple math. Come on, Keith.
My beer is local Schlafly, the original craft brewery in St. Louis. Mexican style chocolate stout, which I'm quite the fan of. There it is on screen.
And that's out of the Stout Bout
Yeah, it is out of
box
stout
this
bout.
year.
Yep, and you can't. I wish you could buy like a 6-pack of that stuff, but I don't think you can buy a 6-pack of just this.
If you go to the brewery,
Well, I
You
guess you
likely
could.
can.
Yeah, but not at the Schnucks.
not at the Schnucks's. But
It's good. I like it. It's good. I enjoy Mexican. I enjoy the extra kick there with the
chili
the beers.
pepper.
Yeah, a little bit.
Have you had a Abraxas? I had that on a few weeks.
Have I?
A month ago.
No, I don't think I have.
That's like
No.
the standard bearer for Mexican chocolate stouts in the St. Louis market.
They had it on draft at Wangang in Edwardsville like a month ago.
Abraxas?
No,
Oh,
the Mexican,
that one?
chocolate stout, yeah.
Do you want to know? You can actually get some Abraxas right here in our very little small town. The 4-0 Quick Stop has it.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know where that's at.
It's on 40, so it's the 4-0.
The 4-0, you can get a 2-4 there.
Got it. I'll just drive down 40 and look for it.
Right.
As soon as you hit Troy.
Our friend of the show, STL Blues History, did not, at least when I researched this afternoon, he did not post any Blues History moments for today. He just said St. Louis Blues History for February 12th doesn't matter today. What matters is thoughts and prayers for Jay Bouwmeester, his family, his teammates, and the Blues organization, and a shout-out to the NHL for policy and the medical personnel involved last night. So that's
We'll get to that, but I
yep.
think we all echo his sentiments.
Yeah,
Everyone knows
very
what
strong points.
Before we get into the meat of the show, the rapid-fire tidbits from around the NHL, Jeremy Roenick announced today that he will not be returning to NBC. He didn't say the reasons behind that, or he didn't say, like, they fired me. He just said he would not be returning, and he didn't seem happy about it.
Nope.
Yeah,
He was-
but I am.
Is actually reporting he's angry.
Oh, he was suspended by NBC back in December for sexually inappropriate comments made towards his coworker, Catherine Tappan, while he was on the Spit and Chicklets podcast. Roenick did say he won't be gone long and will be back bigger and better than ever, whatever that means.
Something
Hopefully
tells me it's going to wind up being via the Spit and Chicklets
I'm hoping.
media outlet.
Because I don't listen to them. So I would be more than happy for Jeremy Roenick to become bigger and better there, so I don't have to hear him.
Yeah, because they're Barstool, right?
Yeah, they're Barstool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine Barstool's a Boston thing. Roenick's a Boston thing. He got in trouble because he was on their show. That's where he's going to reappear.
It seems like something Barstool would just swallow up and just embrace. That's kind of their. They actually
That's their
require employees to act that way around women.
Yep.
Maybe the Blackhawks will hire him. They associate with
And
Bobby Hall, so why not
geez.
bring Roenick into the mix? Trot them both
And then
out
when-
there for
and
the
then when-
next outdoor
when-
game.
When Kane retires, he can join him.
Yeah, that'd be a threesome, wouldn't it?
It
Kane,
would be.
Roenick, and Bobby Hall out
Could
there.
you imagine golfing with those guys?
Yeah, it'd be like
Spend a day at the links with them? Woo!
it'd be
Yeah.
like hanging out with your friend who is older but still acts like a immature asshole, and
Yep.
you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, come on.
Now, I will say that I have said this in the show before. I do not and will not listen to Spit and Chicklets. It's nothing to do with the hosts. I think, honestly, they probably do have a good show. Paul Bissonnette, Ryan Whitney, two guys I think that are very comedic and obviously know the game very well. I will never listen, though, because I refuse to associate with anything that is Barstool Sports. So I'm sure it's a great show. I'm sure what Roenick said at the time was probably funny while it was being recorded, but I refuse to listen to a word of that show. So if he joins them, again, great. That way I don't have to hear you anymore because, and you know, I don't even want to completely blame Roenick. The role they put him in with NBC, I mean, my God. Hey, I'm going to interview a fan from the Red Wings and a fan from the Blackhawks, and guess what? They're married. Here we go, guys. I mean, that's the kind of shtick he did, and it was awful. It was never good.
Celebrity roving reporter. It was tired shtick when they first did it.
Yep.
The coronavirus is causing the NHL to experience a hockey stick shortage. Hockey equipment companies Bauer and CCM make custom sticks for a combined 75% of NHL players. The Boston Globe reported, citing statistics from equipment tracker GearGeek.com. Both companies make their customized sticks at factories in China. NHL equipment managers are facing a major shortage of custom-made hockey sticks. NBC Sports analyst Pierre McGuire said during a broadcast of the Buffalo Sabres Detroit Red Wings game last Thursday, at least one NHL team purportedly enacted a one-stick per game policy for players to stretch their supply. How awful would that be? Parayko would be in up shit creek.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. By the way, can we let's not glance over the fact that there was a national broadcast game of the Red Wings and Sabres.
Yeah.
Good job, NBC.
Well, that
Well, you know what? Buffalo gets fantastic ratings, and so does Detroit.
But I'll tell you, we may have just promoted it more than NBC did because I didn't know that game was on telly.
That's a
I
good
saw
point.
it on social media before I saw it on TV.
Yeah, and this is kind of funny and awful at the same time. But, oh boy, what has occurred?
No, I was Jimmy Anderson in the YouTube chat.
Jimmy Johnson's? He's
Yeah,
watching?
Yeah. Recent inductee into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Or,
Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Jimmy.
Football Hall of Fame. Let's be honest, the virus should be called the Kung Flu. That is awful.
Oh, wah, wah.
Wah, wah. And
Are we allowed to comment on that?
I didn't say it. I'm just saying what he said. We can sick the authorities on him.
Well, we're not we're
do
the
not endorse.
antidote to
Right.
corporate
We
speak.
are.
So
We are.
you could, if you wanted to,
Right.
if you wanted to be a dick.
They said
I'm
that
just saying.
the coronavirus is not as dangerous as the flu. But
If it goes untreated, but it's the same thing with the flu.
right,
You let that go
a
untreated,
lot-
that's what can happen.
A lot of people die from the flu in other countries. Not many people die from it here. But it's just interesting because it's like a big, huge pandemic scare thing that is inherently not any more dangerous than the flu is more prevalent and it's more dangerous. I think just because it's new, and they quarantined. Do you see they quarantined an entire ocean liner?
Yeah, off the coast of Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were like 75 cases on board one day, and the next day it doubled, and they like quarantined the entire ship, and now no one can leave their ship, their rooms. I don't know if it's still that way.
Well, it doubled after they quarantined them to their rooms. So I think that by itself probably is like, you're gonna get it, so share it with your bunkmate.
But I mean, if you get it, you deal with it, and I don't know what they give you for it, but maybe I don't know enough about it to be commenting that much on it. But I just heard that it wasn't as dangerous as the flu, and I'm thinking,
Kurt only plays a doctor on TV.
yeah. I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, come on. Anyway,
And I brought this up before the show, but I want to know, to the people watching, listening, am I the only one that whenever I see the word coronavirus, my mind wants to read it carnivorovirus? Is it just me?
and
It's just you.
I did not go that direction. I went the beer Corona direction.
I don't know. Maybe
too.
it's because I'm not a huge fan of that beer, but
No, I'm not either.
if I would have,
I'm not
if I
either.
would have made that association the
Does
first time.
Does anyone like that beer?
My brother-in-law, I can tell you that much.
Okay. I assume a lot of people do.
I guess.
Last note with the tidbits from the NHL. Over the last 10 games, Alexander Ovechkin, who is gaining a lot of, and rightfully so, a lot of conversation recently about, what? He might challenge Gretzky's goal record.
Yeah.
Give him like 5 or 6 years. And
Yeah.
if he can stay healthy,
No
he might
significant injuries.
do it.
Is he going to do it?
He's got to get like 40. He's got to average like 40 goals a season for the next 5-6 years, something like that.
I think he has to average. It's something like he has to average 40 for the next 3 years, and then 30 for the next 3 years after that, or something. Which I think is completely possible. for him.
The thing is, the way he plays, he does play a more physical style, and I guess he's lasted this long without any major injuries, right? I mean, not at least not many major injuries. And so people keep waiting for him to suffer a major injury, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, he's had some time off here and there, but nothing
Right, nothing like he misses like
He's
8
had
months,
his
6 months.
annual All-Star break.
right.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, his
But-
suspension for that.
But yeah, and it portends well for him that there's no speculation about a labor stoppage coming up here in 22.
yeah, that's
So-
true. That's true. Yeah, can he do it? Sure. Will he? He's got to stay healthy. I mean, he's getting older.
I think he will.
You get older, and if you stay, I mean, you're just your chances of getting hurt the longer you play. Just you get older, and it increases. I mean, so you just don't know. You stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think he will.
I think even if he takes a step back from some of the physical play, you still put him out there on the power play and just let him unload shots. He's still going to score 15, 20 goals just by doing that.
Yeah, I think he's got the mindset that he was okay. I'm going to break this record. I'm going to keep playing.
Yeah,
And I'll play until I'm 46.
Right, and they locked up Backstrom for 6 years, right? So
Yeah.
he's got his key setup guy.
That's true. How long can they stay
Right,
good
and
too? That'll help.
And as long as they can keep a right-handed shooting defenseman with puck-moving ability at the point, like John Carlson,
Yeah.
set him
Tom
up for those
Pogge.
one-timers.
So anyway, I'll finish my thought with the topic here. Over the last 10 games, Ovechkin has more goals than the entire Red Wings team.
And the Red Wings beat the Bruins.
Yeah.
That's the other note on that. Thank you, Detroit.
Yeah. I
Take
mean,
that, John Krasinski.
they still have like a 7-point lead on us, I think, for the
The
league
overall
lead.
league
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Because I mean, the Boston lost, but they're playing still fairly well. I mean,
Right.
7-3,
I mean,
something like the last 10.
yeah, they walked over the Canadians tonight. Pasternak was unstoppable.
Yeah, and the Blues are not playing well. So I mean,
Right.
that's combine those two together, and you're going to lose points in the standings pretty quick. So and it wasn't that long ago the Blues were first overall in the NHL. So that's fallen.
There's
by the
still
wayside.
time to get back there.
Yeah, and I'm not as concerned about being first overall in the NHL. I don't care about
Regular
that.
season doesn't matter. We
Nah.
all know that.
No, I mean I'd like to see them finish as high as possible in the West,
Right.
just to get the best matchups, whatever. But first overall in the NHL, I don't care, because that only comes down to the finals if a team to the beach over there gets there, which is possible. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
and what happened the one time the Blues won the President's Trophy?
Yeah. Here's
Let's not talk about that.
here's the thing with the President's Trophy, is that it gets a bad rap for teams being cursed if they win it. Still, if you win the President's Trophy, the odds that of winning the cup are still greater than finishing in any other position. Yeah, you don't win it. Only a few teams have won it recently, I guess. But only the few teams that have won the President's Trophy have won the cup in the past so many years. But those are still better percentages than if you finish 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. I mean,
I think a big part of that is how you finished as the President's Trophy winners. You look at Tampa Bay last year. They had the President's Trophy wrapped up by this time last year. It was pretty much a foregone conclusion. Hey, and they didn't play meaningful games, and then they go into the playoffs and get swept. I think if it comes down to the last week, the last 2 games, the last game, then I think you're still competing. You're still playing meaningful games, and you're going to go into the first round with a little bit of a spark. So I think that's kind of part of why the President's Trophy is so cursed, because some of these teams just steamroll and don't play meaningful games for 2 months.
I don't think it is cursed, though. That's my point. I think the if you win the President's Trophy, your odds in the past, if the odds of winning the cup are better than finishing lower in the standings. I don't know. I want to say more President's Trophy winners have won the cup in the past. I don't know how many years than other slots. Yeah, I guess I guess if you win the President's Trophy, you think, oh well, cup favorites, and if they lose 4 out of every 5 years, it's like, oh well, they're cursed. But that's still 20% of the time the President's Trophy winner wins the cup, which is pretty good.
We should look up the stats.
I don't know if those are the odds or not, but
Yeah, we should look up the stats and debate this for a...
Yes, another time, because I remember hearing that one time, and I thought that was interesting.
Right.
I didn't look up the numbers, though, so I don't have that to back it up. But
Right.
That'd be good. That'd be a good conversation for
'Cause,
another show.
Because we're getting
If-
to the point of the season where it's going to be all talk all the time about playoff push.
Yes, true.
If there's any Asian listeners, we do apologize if you're reading the YouTube chat right now.
I don't apologize for anything, YouTube chat. That is, we do not endorse a darn thing in there.
Shit, do you guys want me to sing? You want me to sing what's being said in there right now?
I
Please, no.
Is it
Those
just the
coughs were fast as lightning.
Oh.
When they started dying, it was frightening.
No. No.
spelled coughs wrong, Keith.
That's all right. Still funny. I got where he was going with that.
Oh my God, I see
Why
that.
am
now.
But you're his brother.
Why-
You have every
right.
right to make fun of
And
him.
why am I not surprised he's the one that's posting the funny lyrics?
I'm surprised he didn't make a China joke after I mean, a different China joke that he makes all the time.
Yeah.
So,
It's coming now.
it might be. Okay, so Jay Bouwmeester. The Blues and Ducks were scheduled to play last night in Anaheim, but the game was stopped in the first period and was postponed due to Jay Bouwmeester collapsing on the bench immediately after finishing his 6th shift of the game. The press release from Doug Armstrong after the game last night was as follows. With 7:50 remaining in the first period of our game tonight, Jay Bouwmeester suffered a cardiac episode and collapsed on our bench after completing his shift. Thankfully, with a quick response from our medical trainers, Anaheim medical trainers and their team physicians, they were able to stabilize Jay. He was alert and moving all of his extremities as he was transported to UC Irvine Medical Center. Currently, Jay is conscious and alert as he undergoes further testing by Anaheim's physicians. We will update Jay's condition on Wednesday morning. That was last night. They had a press conference. They didn't say much this morning. They had a press conference this afternoon. Didn't change a whole lot. They just said he was doing good. He's apparently
Mentioned
gonna be
that his
fine.
wife was not watching the game, so
Right.
Doug actually called her
Yes.
and told her about it.
Which I think they talked about as far as, I think Petrangelo may have said, or Armstrong said, that it was probably a good thing that he got to explain it to her first and
I
foremost
agree.
that he was okay and the status. Because otherwise she sees this and she's worried until she hears the news. So I
Right.
guess it's probably better to hear that he's okay first and then he explains what happened, maybe. That's how I would have done it.
I would think so. I would think so.
And he was quick to follow on that, it was also really great for her
Yep.
that it was the dad's trip and his dad was there and they were able to
Right.
talk directly.
And Jeff, you tweeted on Twitter last night. There was a comment made about, "Oh my gosh, can't believe this happened on Dad's night. That's like a tragedy." But you commented the other. You looked at it on the other side of the coin and how that was probably a good thing, or it was a better thing to have the dads there. And you want to talk about that?
Yeah. No, that was. And it's funny because I mentioned this. This happened. I don't remember who it was, but somebody got hurt. I want to say it was for the Red Wings last year in their dad's trip, and that was the talk. Oh, what a tragedy for this to happen, during dad's trip. And it's the same thing this time. That was kind of the narrative, the talk amongst, and it was kind of mentioned briefly in the telecast that, feel bad for his dad that he has to witness this. And then it was kind of the talk of Twitter. And I take the opposite stance on it because I look at it as a father. I've got a 7-year-old, and the instance that I used with somebody who kind of argued me on this was there was a time. Granted, like I said, my son's not fully grown. He's not a professional hockey league player, but there was a situation where he fell out of his chair and got a real bad gash on the back of his head. He had to get stitches, and I got called while I was at work, and they said, "Hey, your son fell. He's bleeding pretty bad. You need to come take him to the hospital." Every second that I wasn't with him until I got to the school was torture. Every second was worse than the previous second. And I just thought, I need to get my ass there. I'm flying down 270, going 85 miles an hour to get there. My wife's doing the same thing, coming from her job. It was just torture.
Same thing.
And it's just, and again, I know he's a grown man. His dad, he knows the kind of stuff that could happen to somebody who does this profession. But as bad as it was to look down and not see a number 19 hovered around the crowd and say, "Oh my God, that might be Jay," I bet he was ecstatic. I mean, I don't want to say ecstatic. I don't want to say happy, but you know what I mean. He was like, well, at least I'm here. I can go down there.
Yeah.
I can see him. I can hold his hand. I can tell him I love him. And for me, that is priceless. And then somebody else had brought up, too, the fact that the other dads being there, the teammates. We're going to talk about Vince Dunn.
Yeah.
The teammates' dads are there. So they're able to comfort those guys because they need it right now. They can comfort each other, but having their dads there, too, that was huge.
That's what I was going to comment on was the other players having their dads there was because these some of these players are 21, 22, 23, 24 years old. They're essentially kids, and it's
Robert Thomas.
Yeah, and they haven't experienced this kind of thing. It's a traumatic thing to see and witness, and they've got their dads there to kind of talk with and talk them through, and it was a very good thing for the dads to be there, and I'm sure. And like you said, that your son was in an accident, and it was a hell until you got there. Same thing. My daughter was in an accident. I was crossing JB Bridge going to South County, and I got a call that my daughter had fallen and gashed her lip very badly. And so they were taken to the emergency room, and I turned around and bolted home, and traffic was terrible. And it was, I don't know, half an hour before I got there, and it was agonizing because your mind races, does certain things, and you're like, how bad could it be? I got a phone call, and it's like they're hysterical on the phone, and and I mean there was stitches involved, but everything ended up being okay, and it was fine. It turned out fine, but it was that you would rather be there as a parent.
Yep,
it's something that you want to be there for. There's no way in hell you'd rather have your mind going off on tangents as far as what you think the worst, or you think really bad things. It's just the way it goes.
Well, and I'm not sure what the parents' situation is, if the mother's still around or not, Jay's mother, but I'm sure it was good for her when she found out, oh my God, that's Jay. Jay's the one that's down. He's the one that's getting carted off. I'm sure it was a little comforting for her to know, well, hey, at least his dad's there. At least he can call me, give me updates. He can put him on the phone with me once he's in the ambulance, which I'm sure they did. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. To take the other side of that was confusing for me, and I get it. I get that your first thought is nobody wants to witness this with their kids. But at the same time, I would rather witness it than not witness it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The initial reaction for me too was, oh my gosh, how awful! The dads are there to see this. That was my initial, and that's probably what a lot of people thought. But then if you think about it, if you just think about it for a minute or two, you're like, oh wait a second, no, that's a good thing that they're there. The doctors and trainers right after he collapsed, they did use an AED on Bouwmeester, which is an automated external defibrillator. It's a device that is present in just about every sports arena for emergencies like the one that happened to Bouwmeester. You probably heard a lot of people saying they use paddles last night. That was not true. Modern AEDs have patches that attach to the body, not paddles. But like they say, they rub them together and say clear. That wasn't what happened. From the movies.
Yeah, I was saying, stop watching ER.
Right, I know, right? Yeah, I do believe they still have those, but that's not what they used in this case. AEDs are programmed to administer a shock only when needed, so they're pretty smart. Defibrillators are devices that restore normal heartbeat. So I don't want to fill people in on something that they've heard a lot of terms and what could have happened and what he may have had, and so we're going to go over this. And when I looked this up today, it was educational for me, and it helped me understand the situation a little bit more.
And
so
let's also make sure people understand that there's no inside information here. We know as much as you do if you watch Doug Armstrong's press conference.
Right.
This is just Kurt doing some research and sharing it with Bill and I, and we all kind of agreed, okay, let's bring this up on the show so that way people kind of understand what this possibly could be, what we all believe is a good possibility this was.
So defibrillators are devices that restore a normal heartbeat by sending an electronic pulse or a shock to the heart. They are used to correct an arrhythmia, which is a heartbeat that is uneven or that is too slow or too fast. It's quite possible then it's logical based on the information we have to think that he had this. He had ventricular fibrillation, which is VFib for short. It's an emergency condition that requires immediate medical attention. It causes the person to collapse within seconds of having it, and it's the most frequent cause of sudden cardiac death. So emergency treatments include cardiopulmonary resuscitation, which is CPR, and also shocks to the heart with an AED, which is the defibrillator. Loss of consciousness is the most common sign of ventricular fibrillation, or VFib. So this type of arrhythmia is a medical emergency and is very life-threatening. So that, and based on what that says, what we've looked up, it sounds like that's what happened. I mean, obviously there's some overlap with some of these things, and he could have had something else, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise us if that's what he had. Factors that may increase your risk of VFib. So people might be asking, why did this happen? Why did this happen? And they haven't said anything about this yet, and they said that they're doing more tests, a barrage of tests, to try and find out what may have caused this. So if Bouwmeester did suffer from VFib, according to Mayo Clinic, these are some things that could have caused it. A previous heart attack, which I don't think we're privy to. If he had one, I doubt that's the case. A heart defect that you're born with, congenital heart disease maybe, which, I mean, maybe. Heart muscle disease, possibly. Injuries that cause damage to the heart muscle, such as electrocution. Use of illegal drugs, such as cocaine or methamphetamine. Significant electrolyte abnormalities, such as with potassium or magnesium. So those are the, I guess, maybe the 6 most common, factors that may increase your risk of suffering from VFib. So,
And a lot of those, like you mentioned, the cardiomyopathy, that's more common than people realize, I think. And the heart defect, the congenital, I can never say that word, congenital. Am I saying that right? Congenital heart disease. Yeah.
Heart disease is the number one. Isn't the number one killer heart disease?
I think so.
It's a pretty broad thing.
I mean,
it's a bunch of different kinds, but yeah, I think that's the number
It
one.
is, but a lot of these people are born and go through life and have these kind of problems that they're so minor and they're not ever aware they have them.
Yeah, and
so this could easily be something.
Young people
Go ahead.
I would say young people don't go to the doctor for stuff like that. I mean, they don't go for checkups. Unless there's something wrong, you just don't go. So I mean, people aren't diagnosed, and that's the thing is that Bouwmeester is still. I mean, he's 36 years old. He's a young guy. He's not old. He's older as far as NHL players go, but he's still pretty young. So if he wasn't in the NHL, if he had a regular day job like the rest of us, maybe this goes. Maybe he's out doing something in his car or in the office, and there's a worse scenario after he has this, or
Right.
who knows?
And that leads to what I think is one of the best points about that has gotten emphasized in the wake of what happened, and that is the NHL's policies and controls that they haven't instilled in every arena, requiring 2 doctors on hand, one of which has to sit no more than 4 rows behind the benches, so that they can address situations like this.
Yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I was just going to say, we've seen a lot of people talking about this, and giving the NHL props for having this, and that is it's amazing.
especially for something that and we'll get into some more examples of this happening to players, but it's not a common thing, but it has happened before, and,
Right.
and I mean, every so often you hear about it. Not every year, but
Right.
every, I don't know,
Like
10 years or something, 8
Right.
years you hear about it.
The NHL, you've got a list here: Rich Peverly, in Dallas, and that was
That was
Armstrong
4
credited
or 5 years ago.
Yeah, that 14, I think.
Yeah, okay, 6 years ago.
Armstrong credited his conversation with Jim Nill, and that happening to them working with McPhee to bring in the counselors for the team to be, when they get to the hotel in Vegas. Before that, Yuri Fisher.
Yeah.
And
I was
then
watching that one live. That one was the only one I've seen live. So seeing this one really reminded me of that.
Yeah, I didn't put the Yuri Fisher one in here, but I meant to. But that was and Yuri Fisher, didn't He didn't play anymore after
Right.
that.
Right.
Peverly didn't play anymore.
Right. And I think with Pepperly, they found that he had a congenital heart
Yes.
defect. He had a hole in his
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But then
He was
you know,
on medication for an irregular heartbeat earlier that season.
Yeah.
So that's that. So they knew something was going on there, but they thought they had it under control.
Right. And then the converse of it is Alexei Cherepanov.
Yeah.
Right. He
Yeah.
plays. He stays after the lockout. He stays in Russia to play in the KHL. Plays in an arena in Siberia. There's no AED on site.
The crazy thing about Sharapanov is that he was on a line with Yager after the lockout, and he was it was a full 12 minutes before doctors got there.
That's
12
ridiculous.
There were people addressing Bouwmeester trainers and doctors within
30 seconds.
Seconds.
Yeah.
Seconds,
And 12 minutes that Sharapanov was
I mean,
just,
12 minutes. You're not saving any lives in 12 minutes.
And the thing is that it
No
took
way.
him, and there were no ambulances in that arena, no working defibrillators at the Chekhov arena. It took 20 minutes to get him to the hospital, and they resuscitated him twice, briefly, and then he passed away after that.
Yeah.
So it just
You're-
like,
Bill, you mentioned the NHL getting props for kind of taking so many policies in place and making it to where this kind of thing is going to be prevented. Something else they did, and I heard Chris Kerber talk about that this morning. He reminded everybody of when Kevin Fiala had that terrible leg injury.
yeah. Broke his
And-
femur into.
Yeah, for those that don't remember, playoffs was at 2016, 2017 here in St. Louis when the Blues were playing the Predators. He, broke his femur. They had an ambulance on site because the entire the NHL says that there has to be an ambulance on site in all NHL arenas. And the ambulance took him to the hospital, and they would not resume the game until another ambulance came to Enterprise Center.
yeah, I remember that. I can
that
understand
is
that too.
just phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I mean, you
That makes
think
a lot of
about
sense.
how you think about how these players and these referees are like, okay, we've already taken a 10-minute break. We want to get going. But the fact that the NHL's like, no, there's not going to be
Well,
any of that. Well, I'm not saying they would do that, but I'm saying the fans, everyone's probably getting restless. They have these measures in place for that reason, and I love it. I think it's they've really thought of everything.
They have to, just because, and not just for the safety of the players, but for if they had an ambulance, if they had a policy in place where there had been an ambulance at the arena and they started a play before another ambulance got there and another player got hurt and then died or couldn't play any hockey anymore because of the lack of an ambulance there, the lawsuit would be ridiculous. There'd be lawsuits out the wazoo. So that's just a smart decision on numerous fronts to just play it safe, wait for the ambulance, and then resume play, because that could be there's no good to resuming play early. I mean,
Right.
and you know what? Talk about the fans getting restless. From all reports, the Anaheim fans were fantastic last night.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
The entire city, the entire Orange County, all of Anaheim, they've really put good graces with the city of St. Louis, the Blues fans, the Blues organization. I said this on Twitter earlier today because social media, the Anaheim Ducks social media account had tweeted out all the stuff that Armstrong said today during the press conference. They didn't just retweet; they were actually tweeting it themselves. From the team doctors to the social media team, they've done everything right in this situation, and they deserve to be commended for it.
One more thing on VFib is that it must be treated immediately with the defibrillation to restore normal heart rhythm. The rate of long-term complications and death is directly related to the speed with which you receive defibrillation. So, as I mentioned on Twitter, every second is literally a massive deal, which is why Vince Dunn's ridiculously quick reaction, if you watch the replay, as soon as you see Bouwmeester kind of collapse and his head kind of hit the top of the boards and kind of slide down, before he even gets all the way down, Dunn's like screaming crazy for the trainers. with like 2 seconds.
Not
Dunn
even.
is
No.
not even
Half a second.
Dunn is screaming for the trainer, and who knows? I mean, if he tries to help him up or something, or check him out for 3, 4, 5 seconds, who knows if that makes a difference? I mean, that's
Great
crazy.
awareness.
Oh, so
Great
fast.
awareness
I was
by
so
Vince
impressed with
Dunn.
that. Yeah, so impressed with that.
We all sit here and say that we do the exact same thing, but we don't know, and hopefully we never find out. You know,
you don't
if
know if you
if
freeze in that situation.
if
or-
I'm say I mean, there's a good chance if I'm sitting next to Kurt on the bench and this happens to Kurt, I'm going to sit and stare at him for 10 seconds
Remind
before
me
I
not
say
to sit
anything.
next to you.
Right. But I'm just saying, you don't know how you're going to react, and for Vince
No, I
Dunn
know.
to have the heads up, just I got to get somebody over here, that was tremendous.
Yeah,
And
'cause he
just
was-
an excellent teammate, excellent friend, and just a somebody you want to have by your side at all times.
Yeah. I will say, just overall last night, seeing how hockey Twitter, for the most part, there was the random douche.
That's
There's
gonna
always
happen.
the
hockey
random
Twitter
douche.
and
Always.
the hockey universe in general.
Even within
came
Blues Twitter,
together.
there's the random douche.
Right.
You guys know who
Well,
it
it's
is.
usually the same person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right.
And apparently I don't really interact all that often, get into things on Twitter, but apparently I've been blocked by.
You've been blocked by the Buzz?
The Buzz.
Wow.
Guilt by association.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I know most of Game Time is now too, as of
He's-
today.
you talk about the anyway.
Yeah.
I,
But
let's not-
anyway,
I digress.
The point that I was trying to make is just how great the hockey community is, and coming together, and putting the health of a human being in front of everything else, and that from Ryan Getzlaff, jumping into the bench to help
Oh.
them remove it right away to give them the
Oh,
space,
unbelievable.
to Vince Dunn hugging it out with Max Jones,
Mm-hmm.
and that was I almost burst into tears seeing that picture
Multiple players. We saw the picture. It's a very viral picture now of Max Jones coming over and hugging Vince Dunn. But it's from what I heard again from Chris Kerber this morning on the radio was that pretty much the entire Anaheim Ducks roster came over when they were loading him into the ambulance. I mean, that's again, it's humanity. It's not. It's you forget about these rivalries and teams and hey, we were just slugging it out on the rink. That all goes away in an instant because you're so concerned about this guy's health and then the health of the teammates around him who just witnessed what happened.
Keith Price in the YouTube
Oh, you're
chat.
going to reference this, huh?
I mean, we've talked about it before, so why not talk about it again? When Bill broke my face with a puck in Cahokia, Kurt wasted no time getting everyone else back on the rink because we had limited rink rental time. That is true. Well, we did pay for the rink, and we were poor kids, so we had to, and then after it was over, well, we're not doctors, we can't do anything, so we stayed.
Yep.
The girls will get him to the hospital.
He
fine.
was cut. I mean, it was a bad cut, but it was, I mean, it was cut.
Oh, man, there was a time where I got blasted in the face with a puck, and the referee, I'm laying on the ground, and he's like, dude, don't bleed on the rink, get up and go. And I'm like, I'm hurting right here, man. Can you give me a minute?
It's okay, Keith. I got Bill in the face with a puck years later.
Yeah,
So
and concussed me.
and concussed him.
He was on the bench.
He was on. Yeah.
Yeah,
One of those practice wrist shots
that's
against
been told most on the show.
practice wrist shots got away from me and sailed over the boards and clocked Bill in the face. Oh, that sucked. So the Armstrong's press conference at 3:30 today didn't say a whole lot other than that he was doing well. Bouwmeester is doing well. Currently undergoing testing to determine the cause. The Blues will play in Las Vegas tomorrow night. The game is on, and Armstrong has asked that reporters ask hockey questions only tomorrow about the game. So they don't want. They're trying to shield the players and protect the players from just. And I get it. Yeah, and there's not. I mean, what? I mean, there's. Petrangelo talked to the press today with Armstrong, so that was a great captain thing to do. And they got their questions out today, so I think after they should be fine until there's another update or press conference to reveal more information as far as what happens, what the prognosis is, a long-term prognosis. I mean, it's in the back of everyone's mind. You know, he's 36 years old. He was debating retirement last season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we may have seen his last game.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially based on Fisher didn't come back from his, Peverly, which was a different scenario, but still, heart condition didn't return. So I mean, it's a real possibility.
so you know, I work in an office environment with, you know, well, talking about this with a lot of guys, you know, older than Jay Bouwmeester today, and common sense wisdom for all of us old folk was just, you know, why risk it?
Yeah,
You know,
no.
You know, at this point, especially, you know, Bouwmeester is the 29th member of the Triple Gold Club.
Yeah.
He's what more can he accomplish as a player?
He's had a great career. He's won a cup. He's won gold medals. He has nothing left to prove. And
right. And he's got you know, a wife and 2 young girls
Yeah.
at home.
he was
know,
debating
don't-
retirement last
Right.
year already. I mean, so I mean, he's
that may have had something to do with, you know, if he couldn't recover from the hip surgery correctly.
right. But I think what I'm saying is that he's already had these conversations in his mind and with his family and stuff about retirement. So he's already thought about it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, being
Right.
it's already been, the seed is there. So
and what kind of perspective does facing death?
Yeah, right.
You know,
I mean, if that doesn't do it,
being dead for
Yeah.
seconds.
if that
you
doesn't
know,
do it, I mean,
right. Nobody would fault
I mean,
him
it's,
if he
you
made
could
that decision.
you could say the inverse too, though, that he's what you guys are saying. He basically faced death in the face, and you know, he's going to say, okay, well, you know, maybe it's just not worth it, but he might come out of it on the other side of that and say, I'm not done yet. I want to continue to do what I enjoy, and I want to continue what I'm good at. I want to keep playing hockey. So we don't know yet.
No, we don't, and that's going to be a conversation he has to have with his doctors, the medical staff, get their opinions, and you know what the team will let him do. You know,
Right.
I mean,
and
just,
then talk it over. Most importantly, with his family.
yes, right. You know that Peverly, his issue, he was his heart, he was flatlined for 2 minutes. 2 minutes,
That's
crazy.
and that's way longer than Bouwmeester was out. I think they said he was out for, I don't know if they said, but it wasn't near
I don't
that long.
think they did.
It wasn't that long. It was. Yeah.
Probably good as time now to mention this, because I want to make sure to bring this up, and I said this on Twitter, and every time something like this happens, I know a lot of reporters say this too, but my God, can't stress enough, if you play hockey, roller, street, even ice, whatever you do, make sure that there is the proper precautions in place if something happens. We mentioned the AED on site in all NHL arenas. The
Did you
rinks
say
I play in.
Street hockey?
Okay,
I'm
maybe
just-
not street
yeah,
hockey.
You did say street hockey. I was just want to say
I did
don't
say
see
street.
I
I
don't
meant-
see.
I
too
meant
many
to say
kids-
ice.
I don't see too many kids with a defibrillator in the driveway.
Sorry. Yes, I meant ice. I meant ice, and that's why. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
But no,
probably the only way you could accomplish that is by playing your street hockey at the local ambulance garage.
or
Right.
the hospital,
Or
just do it at the
a
hospital.
place like Way to Play, where the ballpark, where we used to play street hockey on an indoor soccer field indoors. A facility like that nowadays might have something
Right.
like that on scene. So
Right.
okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Well, anyway, yeah. So if you play hockey at all, make sure your arena. It's not a crazy question to walk up to the manager or the owner, whoever, and say, "Hey, do you have an AED on site? Because I don't want to play unless you do." And from what somebody told me today, is that all businesses, again, maybe one of you guys know, they've been told now for the last couple of years that they are supposed to have an AED on site. So any business at all. So I don't know if that's true, but that's what somebody told me. So I would, if you play hockey in your area, check on that, because it could save your life.
It's more than likely going to be driven by insurance requirements
Yeah.
rather than law.
You would think that insurance rates would go down if you had one.
right.
I mean, it would just save you. I mean, that just make. I don't know the details on It just seems like a common sense thing to me.
Yeah.
Keith,
I know we have them at my office.
Okay, I don't think we do. At least not like in the immediate
do.
area. Maybe it's elsewhere on the campus, but which doesn't do a lot of good if it's in 3 buildings away. Keith Price in the YouTube chat says, discuss the comparison with the Pronger heart situation. I'm sure those of you who were Blues fans back then in 1998 playoffs versus Detroit, Dmitry Mironov stopped Pronger's heart, hit him in the chest. Hit, and Pronger was talking about this on the radio the other day, a day or two before this happened. Which is kind of weird that this happened to Bouwmeester, because I heard this interview on the radio. He said that he did a lot of research on it and talking with his doctors after the fact, that he thinks that when the shot hit him in the chest, that was when his heart was at the point where it was getting ready to beat, and he got hit in the chest, and just at the wrong time during the heart pumping, and it caused his heart to skip a beat and not pump, which resulted in a lack of oxygen to the brain and then a collapse. So all it took was one skip of the beat, one screw up there for a second or two, and it caused a oxygen problem to the brain, and he collapsed. He was unconscious for 20 seconds and transported to Henry Ford Hospital, but was back in action 4 days later. The difference being is that this one was trauma related. It was a physical impact.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he had no underlying condition. That what happened to Pronger could happen to anybody.
Right. And at this point, we don't know what it was with Jabo, right?
No, not yet. We don't. And I know when Pronger returned, he wore some kind of an extra pad on his chest, as a precaution when he came back. So I don't think it's the same thing. And Pronger had a long Hall of Fame career after that. So I mean, he was fine. But
he hadn't even hit his stride in the NHL yet.
No,
that was right when he was becoming top player, top defenseman in the league.
Yeah, was that the year that he should have won the Norris, but Blake won it? Remember that? Blake won it because he had a lot of points, but Pronger was the better defenseman.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Was that
I think Pronger was kind of ripped off that year.
Yep. But no, one thing I remember from that, I remember that vividly because it was, again, that was my childhood idol growing up. And it was actually that moment where I realized how much I liked him more than Al McInnes, because it was, it felt like my heart skipped a beat. To be honest, it was whoa, and it was heavy, as you would hear in Back to the Future. Yep. But no, for me, the thing that I always think about with that was when they had a camera angle that was kind of down on the ice, and you could see Pronger's face as he was revived, and you could see the look in his eyes. Mm-hmm. He looked like a ghost in his eyes. It was the scariest look I've seen in a man's eyes before, and I thought, oh my God. You
could see the eyes roll back in his head. That the camera kind of zoomed in, and you could, the shot it got, you could see his eyes roll back, and Hull was like right there unseen, like first guy, along with the official, and Hull was on his knees, just like screaming for people to come over and help, and yeah, that had to be. As bad as it was for Pronger, Hull's sitting there looking at the guy, his eyes roll back in his head. It's like, my God, it had to freak out Hull, just like Jesus.
So that's why he's an alcoholic.
It's
bad time for a joke.
Kind of like when I was managing a movie theater, one of my employees had a seizure, and his eyes rolled back in his head, and he was bleeding from his eye sockets on the floor of the movie theater. He had a seizure, and blood vessels burst behind his eyes, and he had blood just trailing out of his eye sockets, and he was on his back.
My God!
I was like, oh my God! So I bolted to the phone, and I called 911, and I ran back over to him. I'm like, he was foaming at the mouth and stuff, and they got there pretty quick, but it was not fast enough. My God, scary.
It's never fast enough. I'm sure even in his mind, Vince Dunn last night was saying, why the hell are they taking their time getting over here?
Right.
To him, it probably felt like it was 10
made
minutes.
That point, right? Tonight, he's like, it happened so quickly, but it felt like an eternity to all of us.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That was his
it's actual proven science that your brain slows time down in moments of trauma. And so they literally are sitting there, we're watching on TV, it comes back from commercial break, and we're, whoa, what's going on over there? And it's a matter of 2 minutes. For them, it probably felt like 20, 25, 30 minutes.
So this does, assuming that Bouwmeester will not return for a while at the earliest, if at all, there is an issue roster-wise for the Blues to deal with. They do have Mikkola, who has gotten a little bit of time. Looked good, in his time up here.
Got the call up today.
Yeah, got the call up today, right? Just not too long, just like within a couple hours. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So
they knew we were recording tonight. So they wanted to go ahead and get him up.
Right. So he may play tomorrow. So and there's some guys the Blues could be targeting now. Things happen and plans change.
Well, let me just say right off the bat here, I think the Blues, with the cap issues, with Pietrangelo still being a free agent coming up, and just other things they're going to have to worry about in the next couple of years, there's a good chance, because remember, they only signed Bouwmeester to a 1-year extension. There's a good chance that they were planning on moving on from him no matter what this summer. So all that might mean, you mentioned Mikkola, it might just mean they're going to have to move their plans up by a couple months and say, you want to get somebody for a playoff run if you need it, but it could just be, guys, we were planning on going Mikkola next year. Let's go ahead and bring them in. We'll play Gunnarsson and Bortuzzo. They're gonna play both, or they're both gonna play every night, and we'll rotate in Mikkola when we need to. So that could be the situation. We don't know, but that is a possibility.
I think they give him as much playing time as they can before the trade deadline to see what they've really got.
Agree.
That just makes the most sense to me. And they're going to have in a couple of days, 3 days, they're going to discuss Tarasenko to see what they want to do trade deadline with him and what when they think he'll be back before playoffs or not. I'm betting on not, but we'll see. So they've got some decisions to make. The Tarasenko thing has been known for a long time, but this is obviously new stuff with Bouwmeester. So,
and right now they still probably don't know any kind of timetable on Bouwmeester. He might have told them this morning, I want to come back. I want to play. I don't care what it takes. I'm back before the playoffs. And there's a possibility that could happen.
Pronger wanted to come back.
You can't plan for that.
Peverley wanted to come back. Pronger wanted to get back in the game that night. So did Peverley.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the MO. As soon as you recover, they don't know what happened. They want to play. They feel fine. Yeah. But obviously you got to get checked out.
And we're still in that period with Jabo where maybe they've gotten a diagnosis at this point. It's not public, but
maybe
the rest of us don't know. At the time that we're recording this podcast, we don't know.
No.
So
but it is less than it is about 24 hours. So it's still pretty early for a test to get back. Yeah.
But I think Doug Armstrong's the kind of GM that is obviously watching him in the press conference today, talking about having talked to Bouwmeester's wife. Like he's breaking down. Like to me, Armstrong is always like he's the guy that knows he's got to be the cold-blooded killer type businessman. Right, and that's how he's always operated. So it was odd to see this other side of him, but that he's got this pure, got to get down to business, got to sure that things are going to happen as they need to happen. So
I could tell in that interview when they were in the press conference today when they were asking him about what the plan is going forward, blah blah blah. He didn't want to. Really, he knew he had to, but I could tell he didn't want to talk about the Vegas game. He didn't want to talk about
He didn't want to talk about anything else other than the health of Jay Bouwmeester.
And I don't blame him one bit. And that's again shows how close he is with these guys. But like you said, Bill, he's a GM. He's unfortunately got the toughest job of everyone, where he needs to say, okay, I need to act like Jay Bouwmeester is never playing another NHL game. He's the only one that has to be thinking in those terms right now.
And let's hope he does a better job at that than he does at firing Ken Hitchcock. Which he had a hard
and
time
not calling
with.
Vladimir Sobotka.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, at this point, you've got to think that he is considering what are the options. If J-Bo
Sure.
can't come
Yeah.
back.
I mean, you have to. I mean, if he's not officially doing it, he's thinking about it.
Right.
Just, So
It's got to be in the back of your mind.
Sure, yeah, it's in the back of the
GM.
fans' mind. It's his job.
Right.
I mean, he's got to be on his mind a little bit.
Right. I mean, it's in the back of our mind.
Sure.
We put stuff on the on our outline about it.
I know,
right?
right? We're talking about it now.
Yeah.
So that said, what options would be good if you have to replace Jay Bouwmeester?
You guys brought up some names: Alec Martinez, Jake Gardner, Delzato, which was an interesting one for me, and Scandella. So what? Yeah, and you seemed to be favoring Scandella.
Scandella because he's it was only $750,000 difference contract was, and he's on an expiring contract. Already been moved once for from Buffalo to Montreal for a 4th-round pick, so you would expect that the price wouldn't be too high. He's
Bouwmeester makes 3.25,
and Scandella's
look at
4 even.
Yeah.
Well, his cap hits 4. He's making
Scan-
4.7 this year.
Yeah. Right. Which the cap hit is what matters.
Right.
So yeah. Do they have that space? I guess they.
Well,
with Tarasenko out, they do.
And if J-Vo's not coming back, you get cap relief from LTIR.
If they can get LTIR, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess they. I'm not sure the process and how long that takes, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, so I think Scandella is your safest trade option. The other guys, Martinez, I like that name quite a bit. He's scored a Stanley Cup game, a Stanley Cup Finals clinching goal several years back. He's got a winning pedigree. And all these guys that we're talking about are, of course, left-handed,
So
tall defensemen.
So Martinez is he plays for the Kings,
Right.
Alec Martinez.
That, for the
Toffoli-
record,
so
that's
Toff-
my pick.
So Toffoli and Martinez a package deal, right?
Yeah.
For for whatever.
For Jordan Kyrou.
Sanford, Kyrou, and the rights to Jeff Finley.
I mean, because Toffoli was, has been rumored as, being an option. So, or at least, according to speculative bloggers and reporters and things.
Man, I will say I am salivating, and I just had this thought, but I am salivating at a thought of a line of Toffoli, O'Reilly, and Tarasenko. Whew. That would be fun.
Second round of the playoffs. When Tarasenko
That would
comes
at
back.
least be second round, yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah. I'm not banking on him coming back until second round. As far as anything earlier, that's bonus gravy for me. So.
Is it all gravy bonus?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a
No,
gravy.
because you could
There's-
have mashed potatoes without gravy.
Yeah, but that's not. But mashed potatoes and gravy is a thing. If you go to KFC and you say I want mashed potatoes and gravy, the gravy is not extra. It comes with it, right?
Yeah,
So if
but
you
you're ordering mashed potatoes and gravy.
Right, but it's all a package deal. If you say I don't want any gravy, you don't get it for cheaper. The gravy comes with it. It's a package deal. If you say I want extra gravy,
You're talking about in KFC terms. I think on a higher plane than KFC.
I'm just saying anywhere you go, if you get mashed potatoes, gravy is not an extra cost. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
It's part of the deal.
I don't know. I mean, if you
I
go
don't even know what my
to-
original point was now with the gravy.
It doesn't matter because we're talking about mashed potatoes and gravy now.
It's good stuff. Little turkey
I do
mixed
love
in
mashed
there with
potatoes
this.
and gravy.
So good.
Ooh, yeah. Throw some gravy on the turkey.
Keith Price says Jeremy Roenick is available. That is true.
Pass.
Pass. Hard no.
Hard no.
Hard no.
So yeah, no, you said Toffoli was. You said Toffoli was your choice, Jeff, for forward.
No, I said Martinez was my
okay,
choice.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Okay.
I think because, and I'll say when before the show, Bill actually brought him up, and I thought, nah, right away, because I thought, well, his contract's insane, but he actually his contract's not bad. He's got 1 year left next year, so you would need to figure that out at $4 million.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and,
so you would
and
need
have to hope that Matthew Tkachuk doesn't break his neck right here.
That's the $4 million for Martinez is interesting because you're trying to sign Pietrangelo.
Right, and that would be the issue.
So that's rough.
Yeah,
That's rough.
But if you did bring in a guy like Martinez, I think that I think he'd be a good fit. I think he'd be a guy that would fit in there well in Bouwmeester's spot. And he's had some pretty damn. He's not a goal scorer, but he's had some damn big playoff moments for the Kings. I know that was years ago, but a guy who's proven that he can step his game up a little bit in the playoffs.
You want to say something?
No.
I was going to say that I wanted to mention too about Darren Pang. When the studio guys were speculating this and that as far as what could have happened, what caused what, and they're looking at replays trying to determine if he was hit on the ice somewhere, which I thought was kind of weird. But
yeah,
the whole time I'm thinking, based on other instances that have happened with the players, I'm thinking it's a heart issue. It's a heart stopped collapse. That's. But they were looking for, did he get elbowed? Did he get hit?
Right.
He didn't. And then Pang comes on finally with an update and he's like, you could tell he was crying, and he has to collect himself, and he tries to talk and can't, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Did they just send Darren Pang on the air to tell us Joe Bouwmeester has died?
Right.
Yep.
That's exactly what
I'm a worst case scenario person. So when he comes on and he's kind of grabbing his breath and putting his hand up by his mouth, I'm like, oh no.
I know.
No.
I'm thinking the worst. I'm like, oh my god. And there's a million things going through my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna say that he's passed away. And I'm like, why are they doing this so soon? If he passed away, because they've got to notify family and everything. Why is there? It's too quick. And I was thinking a million things in the whole 10 seconds he's trying to collect himself. But thankfully that was not the case.
Right.
Well, and you think about it.
Yeah,
go ahead, Bill.
You go.
Okay, go. I'll go ahead, Bill. No, you go. I'll go. You go. Okay. I'll
go.
You think about it, and it's like if any one of us was in Darren Pang's shoes, we would have all done the exact same thing because, he knows these players very well. He's close with them. He reports on them every day. He talks to them at practice, talks to them in the hotels. He is close with these guys. So, he wasn't. You think back now and you say, oh, well, he wasn't coming on to report some bad news. It was one of his buddies is struggling, and that's going to be hard for any one of us to report on.
Right. Yeah, it kind of just shows you what kind of guy Pang is. You can tell that he's so emotional and cares about the players. Bouwmeester in this case especially.
Right.
And he's just it's just a likable guy. And I mean, he's not some kind of cold-hearted, jerk who's just standing there, cold-faced reporting. He's he's wearing his emotions on his sleeve with this team, and it's a
member of his family.
Yeah, and it's like, and it actually brought, it brings the TV audience in closer too. It was like, oh my gosh, when you see emotions like that, you get wrapped up in it too.
Right, and I really feel like, Fox Sports was in a very difficult situation because you're not expecting this to happen. And, you could totally tell, like, Scott Warman and Bernie Federico were completely,
where was Erica Weston when you needed her to fill time?
Right.
During this?
Right. they were just so caught off guard and like trying to fill it. And
Yeah.
it's this it's a very human thing, but it's just so awkward with them trying to, well, let's break down some of the play because that's what we were planning on doing.
and
And
what-
actually,
I mean,
I was
exactly.
glad
Doesn't matter.
I was glad they broke the play down because I just wanted to see what transpired too. I
Right.
was just
But even before that, like they were breaking down the to the goals, and that was kind of the awkward part.
Yeah.
But then they're like, they're like, well, maybe we should just try to see, was there anything that happened? Because that's really everybody's. It's not out of some morbid curiosity. Everybody wants to know. Can we find something to tell us? Is Jabo going to be okay?
Yeah, they were looking for something to say about Bouwmeester because they hadn't gotten an update yet. So
Right.
And I guess I was just I guess they were frustrated a little bit. I'm sure fans were a little frustrated, just like they want to know what happened. They were
Right.
like, "What's going on?" Because there was a long delay with no information.
Right.
You just knew that Bouwmeester. Actually, it wasn't even reported that it was Bouwmeester for a long time.
Right. And that was the thing. Like, when they first came back, and you're like, they're
Looking at
saying
numbers.
obviously
Who's
there's
not here? Yeah.
right. And the first guy I couldn't find was Petro.
Oh,
I'm like, I mean, not that losing any one of those guys, but
Right.
I'm like, Petro's the guy that's missing. And then when I saw, like, it looked like Jake Allen was about to vomit when they panned to him. Like, he was down on one knee and he looked sick. And I'm like, oh fuck, tell me it's not Bennington. Right?
Yeah.
Did
Oh.
he inadvertently get high sticked or slashed or something?
The
Friend
They
of the
said
show.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Friend of the show, Adam Gold, commented in a fellow Facebook group we're both in. He was asking, "Where is Jordan Bennington? Oh my God, where's Bennington?" And
It's
a lot of
Anaheim.
people didn't see it. Yeah, well, he was actually in the runway.
Yeah.
He had stepped back for a good portion of the time, but yeah, he was in the runway the whole time. So I think some people probably did think, "Oh my God, it's Jordan Bennington. He just collapsed for some reason."
They said Allen, while they were still working on Bouwmeester, they said Allen was like trying to hold his glove up because fans were videoing what's going
and
on.
trying
He was
to
trying to block it,
Mhm.
and good on him for that. But that makes you wonder. There are people out there with video of what was going on.
Yeah.
And so that you wonder where that is.
Yeah. Well,
That's the nosy person in me just talking. But
right. I know I saw some screen caps of like people who were posting on, people tweeted posts from Reddit. Somebody saying he was 3 rows behind it and thought he saw
Yeah, I saw
Bouwmeester
those
die. Yeah.
See
so,
that's the kind of thing the
Right.
kind of thing you got to be careful of as far as like information you're digesting.
Right.
Because you see all kinds of crazy stuff that's just not accurate at all.
And
Anytime
that's-
there's some kind of
right.
Yeah.
And
Kurt, are you
that's-
suggesting Reddit is not completely accurate?
I love Reddit. I actually go to Reddit for a lot of stuff. Reddit's fantastic. But I think in a moment like this, or any kind of tragedy, or people like are speculating, going by hearsay, or they were there but didn't see it all, and they're guessing what's happened. Then all of a sudden, people take that information and run with it as fact, and it snowballs. And I think that's where you get into a problem with misinformation. Kind of like
Right.
with Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant passed away in the helicopter crash, I was at a Wolpertinger at Urban Chestnut, and the telephone game of the crowd, people telling people what was going on. I heard that it was Kobe Bryant and all of his kids were in the helicopter. That's what the word was in the tavern and the brewery there, but that wasn't the case. So
Right.
that's what you get for listening to partial information from people.
Right, and I will tell you the one thing when I was going to bed last night after I was able to calm down and saw that the reports were coming back that Jabo was fine. The worry that I had in my mind was because Peng was so emotional,
That he was keeping something back.
that he maybe said something wrong, like and was he provided good news when there wasn't good news to provide,
Oh, right.
and it spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you started
that
seeing
was-
people like Bouchergrass and other people saying, Darren Peng said he's fine, he's on his way to the hospital.
That's a lot of responsibility.
right. And I'm like,
Yeah.
God, that would crush that guy.
Yeah.
And-
And thank God. Thank God.
Well,
Thank
and I
God
think-
it was all true. Yeah,
Right.
And I think-
because I had tweeted that Payne just said
Yeah.
that
Me too.
Bouwmeester was alert, and a lot of people were like, no, he didn't, and I was like, actually, he did. But then I thought,
Yeah.
oh my God, I hope he wasn't just saying that because he was trying to find the words.
He actually, I think he actually said on the radio this morning, in an interview, Bernie Miklasz had him on ESPN radio this morning, and I don't know if you guys caught that, but he said that there was more information that he had that he was not sharing on the air
Yeah.
last night, and he was still emotional this morning. He was breaking up on the radio this morning talking about it. So I mean, he had all night to digest it, and he had word that Bouwmeester was stable, but this morning it was still extremely upsetting to him. I mean, he was breaking up on the air, so actually, if you think about it, on the air last night, he was holding back information. He wasn't, I guess, so he was extra careful not to say too much. So I guess he was
right.
The professional in him was coming out there where he just.
I want to add, and I know you guys agree that we talked about how tough it was for Bernie and Scott Warman to talk about and to kind of fill dead air at that point, because you're like, what are they going to talk about until we have more word on what's going on? And same thing with Peng and Kelly. What do you say during this moment? I think they did as great of a job as they possibly could. I mean, that is not easy. When you're a reporter for a news station, if you're a crime scene reporter or something, you kind of are ready for maybe the unexpected. And but man, when you're a sports reporter, this is not the kind of thing you expect you have to report on. So for them to be able to step in, and I'm sure that when Bouwmeester collapsed and Kelly and Peng came back on the air, it was, holy shit, what the hell are we going to tell these people? Like, we've got so many people tuning into us right now across the world. What are we going to say?
Right.
I mean, and the fact that they were able to come out with it the way they did and report on what they knew and weren't speculating, just a great job by all four of those guys, and then obviously everyone behind the scenes as well.
I think everyone. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think of how many people were involved with all of that, from the players who were quick to react, the training staff, the doctors were quick to react. Barilli and his staff were there in seconds, and everyone's praising everyone for how they handled it. And Bouwmeester was apparently not out for very long at all. And they were able to stabilize him and get him to the hospital. So that's, I mean, enough. Armstrong said it today, praising the training staffs, both teams. So that's good to see that the things that were in place, which we talked about, worked like they were supposed to. And so and it could have saved a life. Probably did save a life.
It did.
I mean,
It did save a life.
He was going to die if he wasn't attended to quickly. The stuff we went over about VFib, and if you go into have that cardiac issue, if it's not attended to quickly, you will die. It's the number one killer for arrhythmia issues. I think that's what it said. So crazy.
Well, and that was the conversation with my work today. Was it's he's a hiker, he's a golfer, he spends time alone in his hotel room. I'm sure this could have happened at any point. If this happens when he's hiking, who knows? Who knows how long he'd be out there by himself. So for the fact that, I mean, I don't want to say again, I said this about the dads, but you don't ever want to say that it's lucky that it happened. But if it is going to happen, I'm glad it was able to happen in an NHL arena where we have trained professionals, policies in place, and again, the way the Anaheim Ducks organization stepped up and did what they needed to do. And again, Ray Barilli, one of the most unsung heroes in the history of the Blues. Just all these people came together and did all the right things. It's
They have a Hall of Fame for-
really great to see.
They have a Hall of Fame for trainers. Do they make Hall of
They
Fame?
should. It should be called the Ray Barilli Hall of Fame.
Barilli has been here a long time, and he's like,
Yeah.
he's league-wide known as one of the best. So that's interesting. I think. His butt's rubbing. I think we've kind of talked about this a lot.
Ad nauseum.
Yeah, and
The only thing that I'll add is a thought that I've had, and I'm going to kind of talk about myself here just because I can. I have a show, so you all have to listen. Honestly, the thing that freaks me out, and maybe you guys feel the same, I don't know, I still play. And so when I see Jay Bouwmeester, who, by all accounts, and not just last night, this isn't the first time we've heard this, one of the most fit guys on the team, and he's got this issue. And then think about me, some fat guy playing men's league. That's disturbing, right? I mean, that's something that makes you think of your own mortality.
Right,
And
but it's on the same token, that's an underlying issue that I don't think it's it's a condition underlying condition that he may have had. So
maybe, yeah,
Maybe.
we don't know yet.
Right.
There's still more to find out. Hopefully, we'll have more by the next time we record. But it just again it makes you think. Hug your loved ones. Tell your loved ones you love them, and just savor every day because you never know how long you're going to be here.
So on that note, and actually, it's good news. He's essentially going to be fine. We just don't know what his career is going to look like from this point forward. So that's good. I mean, the worst case scenario did not happen. He's stable. He's good. He feels good. He's FaceTiming the team. He's apparently going to be fine. I think Andy Strickland said that looks like he's going to be fine. So it shouldn't be a somber part of the show really. It should be thank God he's fine. It's a good thing. We'll move on to the Blues retiring Chris Pronger as number 44, which was announced the other day.
This should have been the headline of the show.
And it would have been.
It totally
It really would have been.
And it got pushed to the very end. But
we were ready for our "I told you so" lap.
I know. We had.
Yep.
We were pushing for this for how many years? And had to deal with some people saying, "Really? I don't think so." And the occasional person that disagrees or whatever. I'm like, "Did you watch him play? Come on." Al McInnes informed Pronger of the news. It'll happen sometime next season. But they will raise number 44 to the rafters at Enterprise Center. Arguably the most dominant Blues player of all time. Norris and Hart Trophy winner in the same season. The Blues all-time plus-minus leader. Advanced stats have him at the top or near the top of a number of categories, defensive categories, and goals produced, stuff like that. So this is a no-brainer addition to the rafters. I think we can all agree on that. We've sold shirts with Retire 44 on it. I think anyone who questions raising number 44 either never really got to watch him play or with any regularity or simply doesn't understand what goes into making a great defenseman. I know Jeff is probably extra excited about his favorite player.
We celebrated pretty hard Saturday night. I'm not going to lie. It was funny because my wife,
We did too.
again, she's, yeah. Yeah, I saw some pictures. Yeah, I know you
Yeah,
guys
we were,
did.
and we got the announcement. I was like, sweet. Or
No, I was just hanging out with my wife watching the game, and she had drank a little bit the night before, and she's usually good about, okay, I had my drinks last night, I'm good. But when she saw the news, when I told her, it was, all right, you know what, let's have some fun tonight. So we let loose and
Yes, you
celebrated pretty hard because yeah. But no, and this is fantastic news. This is again, something that we've all been waiting for. Chris Pronger, and you said it, Kurt, in my opinion, the greatest Blues player of all time. And people are like, well, you're partial. I'm like, well, there's a reason I'm partial. Because he controlled the game. When he was on the ice, nobody was better than him. He would take the puck off an opposing player's stick and then just slow the game down to his speed and then make a great outlet pass, boom, 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 Blues would score a goal. I mean, that's what he did in a nutshell. And you can say all you want, Brett Hull, Bernie Federico, hey, argue with me. Go ahead, because they were great players too. But the way Pronger controlled play on the ice, to me, makes him the greatest player in Blues history.
Would you say that Nicklas Lidstrom is in the top 5 defensemen of all time?
Yes.
Okay, so Pronger, and I'd agree with you. Pronger, unfortunately, played in the same era as Lidstrom, overshadowed by Lidstrom a lot. He got comparisons, but Lidstrom is a generational talent. Whatever. So, and I think that may have hurt Pronger's viability as far as greatness goes a little bit league wide.
One Norris Trophy.
One Norris Trophy. It should have been at least 2.
He should have had at least 2.
Right.
I'd say 3 or 4.
But
Right, we
Lidstrom
talked
won how
about
many? Like
Rob
5 or
Blake.
6?
Yeah, and
6, I
it
believe.
also it doesn't help that Pronger, after he left St. Louis, didn't stick with one team. Right, he bounced around.
Right.
Edmonton,
Philadelphia,
Philly,
and Anaheim.
Don't forget Phoenix.
Edmonton. Keith Price says, how long did he play for the Blues? 9 seasons, 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fucking lockout.
Fucking lockout. So,
The lockout. It makes
long
you
time.
wonder, if without that lockout, if he would have continued playing for the Blues after that.
Yeah.
Bill Laurie, man.
Yeah, I mean, and if Bill Laurie doesn't, have to sit through a season of not having a season, does he still want to sell the Blues?
Yeah.
I mean,
know
obviously the biggest thing for him was not being able to bring the Vancouver Grizzlies to St. Louis, because that's all he wanted was a basketball team.
And without the Pronger trade, we don't get Bennington.
Yeah, that's
true.
So there's that. Granted, things could have fallen into place after the fact.
Right.
Butterfly effect kind of a thing.
Right. It's a very
Obviously things
long
worked out.
price to pay.
Right, it is. Things worked out, but we still could have. If we had kept Pronger, maybe we make a different move. Maybe we acquire the same pick in a different move. Who knows?
Or maybe the Blues just make that pick.
Yeah,
with
possible.
their pick.
Based on
You
their
never know.
needs at the time, players they didn't move, players they acquired instead. You never know. But yes, we did with the Pronger trade. We did acquire the pick that got Bennington. So there's that. Not that he's playing particularly great right now, but. He got us a cup.
Yeah, he did, and hey, that's all that matters. But no, man, I this has been a long time coming. Again, we've talked about this on the show at nauseum. I think that we don't need to go over why we think it should be retired, but just saying that it's finally going to happen, that's massive. And I will make a promise to Let's Go Blues radio listeners. I am going to do everything in my power to get Chris Pronger on this show. I promise you.
That's great, and I'm looking forward to that very much.
I've already got a couple calls out, so we'll see.
All right, you have met him, so you can you can flash that card.
Yeah. Hey, we met once. Actually, we've met a lot of times. I almost feel like he's going to see me and be like, oh, wait a minute, you're that guy? Well, then I'm not coming on your show, you stalker. Man, when I was a kid, I went to every autograph signing. I did everything. And, again, I've mentioned this before. When I was in the press, I sat next to him. It was not by my own, I can't think of the word.
Volition?
I didn't make it happen. Thank you. Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah, but no, it was the way the seating chart worked out. I sat next to right to him, so we talked a lot, and I really feel like if he sees my face, he's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember you. I used to bitch to you about certain players." So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that happens.
There's I put together a little photo montage of guests we've had on the show the past couple of years. A number of them, most of them coming during Jeff's summer series, but some really just notable, some local, some national names. So that's we're going to add to that hopefully soon with some more guests. So there's a couple more besides Pronger that we'll try and get to have a chat with. So that'll be kind of fun. if we can make that happen.
Yeah, and I know that our friend STL Blues History on Twitter has said that he can get us in touch with certain people. So we will have to start taking him up on that because I think that'd be a lot of fun. But no, either way, congrats to Chris Pronger on getting his number retired. Congrats to the entire Pronger family. Congrats to anyone who played with Pronger because, they obviously helped out with that too. And then again, honestly, I know you two are with me that he should have had his number retired a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
So congrats
Well,
to
long
both
overdue.
of you for seeing seeing someone you believe should get his number retired, seeing it actually happen. So congrats to everybody.
He is one of my favorites, so I was happy to see him get it. So that's well-deserved. Colorado has closed to within 1 point of the Blues in the division and the conference. They're 8-1-1 in the last 10, won 5 straight. We're 3-5-2 in our last 10. Colorado has jumped out to a plus 46 in goal differential. We've slipped to plus 18 with our current slide. Colorado has torn it up a bit against a rather easy schedule this month, so that's helped them. And we've struggled so far. So our 10-point lead that we had not too long ago was 11-point lead even, wasn't it? Has quickly evaporated in a matter of just like 5, 6, 8 games. So are you? I mean, not to talk too much about this. We do play the Kings, the Vegas Golden Knights. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. They're 4th in the Pacific, 4-4-2 in the last 10. Lost their last game to Minnesota 4-0. And Colorado plays Washington tomorrow. So there's a couple games in action that we'll be concerned about.
Yeah, we could quickly be back up to 5 points apart.
3.
3.
We're one up now.
Look at my math. Right?
And they have a game in hand too.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, but
Let's face it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say let's face it that the Blues built up that massive lead right around the All-Star break. What was it 8 points, 10 points?
They had a 10 or 11 point lead on Colorado one time.
We knew that whether you want to admit it or not, all Blues fans knew they weren't going to run away with this division with a 20-point lead.
Right.
They were bound to have some struggles. So the fact that they are not that far ahead anymore doesn't bother me. It's just a matter of, hey, you know what? You had your cushion. The cushion's gone. Let's see you start playing some hockey again.
Yeah.
Is this the what pushes the team to say, you know what, this isn't getting it done. Let's turn it around. The cushion disappearing. And another thing, the competition. Washington is a tougher game, I would say, than the Vegas Golden Knights. Not that the Knights are slouches, but also Colorado suffered a pretty significant injury. So might be easier to contain one line instead of two. Nazem Kadri out for
Nazem
weeks.
Kadri.
Nazem Kadri out for a period of weeks, not days, according to Jared Bednar.
And I'm not even overly concerned about the way other teams are playing. I want the Blues to kind of tighten up things on their end, goaltending wise. And actually, to be honest, a few games during this stretch, they played really well, and they just couldn't get the win. Which, I mean,
we talked about it last week, the Vancouver's and Edmonton's games.
Yeah, that happens, and I'm not. So it's not like they're playing terrible hockey. They're just not. They've played a few good games in the past 10, and they weren't able to get a win, and they didn't play that great in a few others, and they lost. So it's
right now their offense is from their defense.
Right, their offense to defense. They're not getting the production from their best players up front like they had been, and the goaltending is not where it was either. So Binnington's got to be a little bit better, and he's looked great at times, but then he allows one that's, I mean, sometimes it's a softie, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's just one that's just bad luck. Seen a lot of that, a lot of bad puck luck lately too. I don't know. We'll see. They've got time to kind of fix things, but we'll see how it goes.
We didn't break down the Dallas game, but I felt like early on, especially, there was a power play in the first period the Stars had that Binnington looked phenomenal. I mean, all the good saves we saw him make in the playoffs, that was the Binnington we saw. he made, I think, 3 ridiculously across the crease saves that he had no business making. And so it was, okay, here we go. This is the Jordan Binnington we know and love. But then he gives up that weak overtime goal. And so it's, but like you said, Kurt, and I think that this is what's lost in a goalie slump is he's still having those spurts where he looks like a great goalie, and he's still playing those great moments of they need him to step up here. Let's see if he does it, and he does. But then there's still those times where it's, yeah, he probably could have had that one. So you just have to hope, and again, as long as that's there, that he's still playing those great moments, I think he's going to be fine, and he's going to be able to pull himself out of it. It's just a matter of when is that going to happen.
I'm not. The only thing that I'm maybe a little concerned about is the workload for Binnington, because he first half of the season he played a lot of games, and played a lot of games in the off. I mean, the playoffs. This is the most games he's played in this amount of time since he came up. So I'm not sure if fatigue is playing a factor with him at all. We'll see. If that is the case, hopefully Allen gets some more starts, and so he can kind of right his ship a little bit if that's the case. And thankfully that Allen is playing better this year than he has in the past, and although he's kind of struggled a little bit lately too, not as much as Binnington though. But
yeah,
but they've got him to fall back on. So if this was last year, Allen, before Berube took over, we'd be kind of screwed because you'd be playing. You wouldn't be giving Allen as many starts, and Binnington would get any more starts. And then he'd have a ton more games under his belt, and he might be more fatigued. So then what do you do? I don't know. You trade Allen, you bring up somebody else to give him a relief, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. But who are you going to bring up? Husso?
Yeah, he's not playing well this year either. Again.
Right.
So that's another enigma is Husso. It's like, what the hell happened to him? He was progressing nicely, and then last year he kind of just fell apart, fell off the table. And this year,
there was a small part of me that was hoping over the summer they would move him, just because we're hoping we got something here in Binnington, and obviously we're going to have Allen back up. So if Binnington's a starter for 10 years, we don't need Ville Husso. But the problem is the goalie market is so oversaturated that what are you going to get for a top goalie prospect at this point? I know
I don't
you
think
can get something.
Is he a top goalie prospect anymore?
And that's the thing. I think at this point he's probably not.
No,
and that's probably what was feeding into your desire to trade him is you could still argue gray area
right
in the offseason.
He'll rebound, whatever,
right.
Yeah. Jimmy Anderson says, do you guys think we could be underestimating Bo's importance to our D and that we may struggle more than we're thinking? Just worried, but also know you guys watch and know more. I don't know about that.
We don't know more than you, Jimmy.
No. I mean, I'm not saying that if we got Marco Scandella that he would be a one-for-one replacement. I'm just saying who could we possibly bring in? Because, go back to the Stanley Cup Finals last year and how dominant Bouwmeester and Parayko were. And, they are our shutdown pairing right now. Yeah. Right? You don't have that with anybody else.
No, and so guys like Parayko will have to step up. He's had a great year. But
Parayko's been our best player the last 5 games.
I'm just saying, defensively, he's been fantastic this year, and he's starting to score some goals now too.
But how much of that is chemistry with a partner?
Yeah, I don't know. That remains to be seen. So we will find out. I think Jay Bouwmeester is kind of a calming presence back there on defense. So it remains to be seen how the team is going to react to that. They could rally around Bouwmeester, like a win it for J-Bo kind of a thing, or they could let it, or they could be kind of like out discombobulated for a while or out of sync of sorts.
Right. No.
So it depends how that's a good question.
It was, it was an emotional trauma that they suffered yesterday.
Well, and it makes me think too, back a couple of years ago, for me, when the Blues got Zbigniew Michalek at the trade deadline, I was ecstatic because I thought there is one of the best offensive defensemen in the NHL. He is going to stabilize that defense. He did not work out for the Blues at all. So sitting here and saying, yeah, Marco Scandella, yeah, Alec Martinez, bring these guys in. They're going to make it work. It's all about chemistry, especially I feel like chemistry on defense is more important than chemistry on offense. I feel like if you don't gel with your partner, since there's only two of you out there, that could really hurt things. And if you're just going to plop him in Bouwmeester's spot, that may not work. So it really is just a matter of finding the right fit for somebody who can play with Parayko.
Oh, I've got no more topics for this show. We mentioned they do play Vegas in Vegas tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central Time. That's Thursday for you listening, or tonight for you listening tomorrow on the podcast or on YouTube.
And if you're listening
tonight,
Friday, this show
East
already
Coast.
happened.
That's right.
I think we'll add, hey, everybody, make sure you pay attention to the giveaway we mentioned at the beginning of the show. If you forgot what that was, check us out on social media. We have it posted everywhere. So join the forum, and, hopefully we've gotten some great responses already.
Yeah, I know, right? Go to for those of you in the YouTube chat, again, letsgoblues.com, go to the forums, and there's a post in there about the giveaway, the All-Star Game Rally Towel and the Blues Mashup Stag Beer stickers. So we're giving some of those away, and so follow the instructions, give us a post about your best Blues story or whatever, and we'll check it out, and we'll pick a winner. Should be fun.
Then we do have another giveaway coming after that as well. So we're going to continue this whole giveaway thing. So make sure you stay tuned with us.
And we actually give stuff away that we say we're going to.
We do.
Isn't that a novel concept?
We actually do.
That's a novel concept.
It's crazy to think that we announce giveaways and we actually send our listeners that stuff.
Yeah, when we have stuff to sell, we sell it and we send it out. When we have giveaways, we actually pick a winner and give it away and mail it out to somebody.
We give
Kurt,
away
can you
more
think
than
of
blocks.
Kurt, can you think of anyone else on Blues Twitter that does giveaways that would actually send people stuff? Maybe Blues Hockey Podcast, right?
I
think they do.
Giveaways? Do they?
I think they do.
I don't know.
Anybody who doesn't. I think anybody
who doesn't give away things that says they're going to?
It says they're going to give away. They take pictures of their items and then
they got so much of this
say
stuff.
they've got so much of it they're going to give it all away, but then we never hear anything after that. Does that happen?
I mean, only the biggest douchebag would do something like that, right? I mean, come on.
Exactly. And someone who's blocked most of game time. And Let's Go Blues Radio, apparently.
Yep. That's the kind of person that person is.
Oh man, I gotta say I'm buzzing at this point.
You're buzzing? Well, I've only had one beer, so I'm not buzzing.
Don't steal the spotlight here, Bill.
Anywho, that'll wrap up episode 52 of season 8 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, which we do not charge for, by the way, unlike some other people. Who charges for a podcast? Who does that? Charge money for a podcast.
Screw you, Jackman and JR.
That's like charging money for the paper onion on the street. It's just free, right? It's supposed to be free.
Yeah. What the hell? We're not Ken Jennings.
No. Charging for a podcast. Give me a break. The original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube chat during the live show. We hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues, and get well soon, Jay Bouwmeester.
Get well, J-Bo.
Get well, J-Bo. Let's go Blues.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Sport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at sports.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues,
St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are